Welcome this morning. I hope you guys have an absolutely phenomenal weekend and an amazing start to your morning. So we're going to go through our update across the 4 counties, and then we're going to go into some announcements. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. As always, we start off with our TCPA disclaimer. Please remember that any of the calls or texts that you make, you do so in a TCPA compliant way. All right, moving into Los Angeles County. So I'm going to note, I always like to give a frame of what we are going to be looking at today. We are getting very close to the end of the month here for the month of July. With that being said, as we look through each of these different data sets or data numbers, the data that we are looking at today is a comparison of the 1st through the 22nd of the month, so about 3 weeks into the month, in a June versus July comparison, and obviously a July to July of last year, so the 1st through the 22nd. What are the first 3 weeks of July shaping out to be, and what is that looking like across each market? So to start off, looking at Los Angeles County sales trends, we are seeing a slight increase thus far month to date, month over month, in comparison to June in the number of properties available for sale. I do want to note, we've started to see that number rise as of April. So you see a slight increase from April to May, and then May to June. And so here in July, seeing a slight increase thus far here in the 3rd week of the month of 1% compared to where we were a month ago. It is likely it's going to kind of follow this curve right over here. And yet, if we look at where we were a year ago, this number is down significantly, down 30.1% in comparison to where we were in July of last year. Now, that was to be expected, right? In 2023, a lot of the projections were that sales numbers were going to be down across the board. And so we can see that reflected in the number of properties that are available for sale, seeing a decline of 30.1% from the same time period a year ago. Now, when we look at our properties sold, right? The number of properties sold down thus far month to date, 20.1%, right? So seeing a pretty significant drop there. As well as what we see is the drop from a year ago, down 27.3% in comparison to where we were in July of last year. What about our inventory trends, right? New listings coming on the market. So we started to see a decline last month. That decline is continuing through thus far the first 3 weeks of July, down 17.2% compared to where we were in June of this year. And then down 35.3% compared to where we were a year ago. So we're starting to see those listings experiencing that bit of a decline right now as well. In terms of the properties pended, so those listings going pended, down 9.2% thus far month to date, down 12.1% from where we were a year ago. I'll notice that, right, we tended to see some drops here. The most significant drop obviously being in December, where we kind of hit bottom on new listings and pendeds. The biggest difference for this year in some of the declines that we're experiencing is that obviously we didn't get as high as we did before, right? So we had a significantly less listings coming on the market through the beginning of the year, and we're continuing to see that kind of drop off thus far throughout the first kind of half of the year. We look at our average active price, right? We're seeing a decline there in the active price, down 2.4% month to date. This is still up significantly from where we were a year ago, right? Up 38.4% from where the active or the advertised price was last year. Our average sold price, a decline of 0.6. That's fairly balanced, right? Anytime it's less than 1%, that's pretty balanced there. In either direction. And so that average sold price, not too much give and take there. And yet it's down 1.8% from where we were a year ago. So we've seen, if we were to look at just appreciation numbers overall, that kind of average, we've seen appreciation slow. We haven't necessarily seen it stop, right? So don't take this average sold price with a grain of salt, because obviously appreciation is what we've seen from this point a year ago. It may be that we're seeing a little bit of a decline there in that average sold price in July. But if we were to average out all of the months, we still have a positive appreciation over the course of the last year, just not a significant one. It slowed down a lot, right? Not like what we've seen the last couple of years. With that being said, looking at our months of inventory, we've seen an increase here up to 2.2 months of inventory thus far, month to date. We were at about 1.8 at the same time period a month ago. No fluctuation from where we were a year ago. When we look at these inventory numbers, this isn't huge, right? This is not a lot of inventory. This still keeps us decidedly in a quote unquote seller's market, which is 1 to 5 months of inventory, 5 to 7 months being a balanced market, and then 7+ months being a quote unquote buyer's market. But I want to remind you that anytime we talk about this idea of a seller's or a buyer's market, that is a technicality. Does that mean that it is the best time for a buyer to buy or for a seller to sell or vice versa? No, not necessarily. That's a very subjective, that's very subjective based on each person's individual circumstances than it is based on whatever market we're in. The best time for a buyer to buy is when they feel comfortable making the payments and they're able to purchase regardless of what is happening out in the market, because either way, that money that they're putting in every month is getting spent somehow, generally through rent, in which they build no equity, have no tax benefits, and never regain that money back, or at least not at the same level that they do in real estate. And while we cannot advise on tax benefits and things like that, that's something they need to discuss with their CPA. We do know that there are definite benefits of buying a home, locking in that cost of living, locking in some of those additional benefits, and building equity for themselves instead of for their landlord. And so that's regardless of the market that we're in. That's really on the basis of whether a buyer is comfortable with their payments and feels stable with their job, right? Is one of the things that we really look at on when a client is able to move forward. Okay, with that being said, average days on market, with supply numbers going down, we continue to see a decline in our average days on market due to some of the increase in demand and competition. That's sold versus original list price. So we've seen a decline in the original list price or the advertised price, and yet sold versus original list price staying pretty steady at about 98%. So we see that properties in Los Angeles County thus far month to date are selling at about 98% of list. I do want to note something here, right? It's very easy to see something like 98% and say, okay, well, then I'm going to submit my offers at 98% of list or things like that. Just a reminder that that's the sold versus the original list price. It does not necessarily mean that offers are being submitted at 2% lower than asking. What it might mean is that the offers that are getting accepted, there's negotiation that is happening through the contract. This is an average out. So always just take that with a grain of salt. Important number to talk about with your sellers as well. Okay, moving on over to Orange County, we start getting into our higher price point county. Number of properties available for sale, seeing an increase that has kind of continued since the month of April, up 3.2%, down 41.6% from where we were a year ago. We look at number of properties sold, a decline there. So we saw a decline last month, a decline thus far month to date of 13.3%, down 18.7% from where we were a year ago. What about our new listings, right? New listings continuing to experience a decline that we've kind of seen across the board. This decline coming in at negative 20.6. So listings down month over month, 20.6%, down significantly from last year, down 40.5%. And then in terms of the number of properties pended, not as significant a drop here as in the listings, but still a decline, down 3.7%, down 6.3% from where we were a year ago, right? What about our pricing? So it's interesting. We see this decline, and yet our average active price is up. right? Part of this, so when we look at the delta here of new listings coming on the market, has experienced a sharper decline than the properties pended. It means the new listings coming on the market are not coming fast enough to replace the properties pended. If these had matched up, then they kind of cancel each other out, right? But they're not. The pended is much, much lower. And so we're seeing a little bit of that delta where the new listings are not kind of overtaking the inventory that's already available. So it's not necessarily quite meeting the demand that's available in the market. With that being said, supply and demand then dictates our price. So our average active price seeing a 5.4% increase, 45.2% increase from a year ago, right? Big increase there. And then 5.3% higher than it was last month, 11.5% higher than a year ago. So Orange County seeing some big gains here in that average active and sold price in comparison to where we were a year ago. What about our inventory? So here we're not seeing a significant growth in inventory, which is also contributing to our demand. Less than 1.5 months of inventory, coming in at 1.4, up 8% from where we were last month during the same time period. And last but not least, our days on market down 4.3%. So it's a day change, right? 22 days on market, but still fairly low days on market here. And then sold versus original list price coming in at 99% of original list. With that, again, take it with a grain of salt because the active price is also up, right? So this is a bigger jump upwards than just that kind of 1% that is showing here. But property selling at about 99% of lists here in Orange County. Now, moving into Riverside County, this is one of our lower price point counties. Number of properties available for sale down 2.1%, down 32% from a year ago. Number of properties sold, a bigger decline here, right? Down 25.3% month over month, down 27.6% from a year ago. New listings continuing to experience a drop, but less than 20% drop here. It's at 16.1%. Down 41.5% from a year ago. We saw some big declines from where we were a year ago. But properties pended, I want you to pay attention to this. Riverside County seeing an increase here in the number of properties pended. So we are seeing properties go under contract here in one of the lower price point counties. That is up 8.9% of 5.3% from a year ago. And get our active price down 4.9%, and that average sold price down 4.5%, right? So we've got some interesting, Riverside is a little bit more of an interesting kind of trends. It's not necessarily following the same trends that LA and Orange are following. We're seeing some differences here, right? Even with the months of inventory, seeing an increase of 27.9% up to 2.3 months of inventory. So more inventory available in Riverside County. And then that sold versus original list price, seeing an increase to 98%, days on market, small decline, but still not less than 30 days like we're seeing in LA and Orange, right? So 36 days on market. We still got quite a bit here, right? That's over 30 days. Okay, last but not least, San Bernardino County. Looking at our sales trends, number of properties available for sale, an increase here of 9.1%, and properties sold down 16.4%, both down from where we were a year ago. We look at our inventory trends. New listings are down 16.2%, pendants down 1.3%. That clearly makes Riverside County a little bit of the anomaly there, with pendants being up, whereas pendants have dropped across the other three counties. So just take that note, right, of some of the change we're seeing in Riverside County that's not necessarily reflected here in the lowest price point county, San Bernardino County. With our average active price, this is fairly balanced, starting to see an increase there, a little less than 1%. And then average sold price, again, fairly balanced here, but an increase of 0.5%. Still down from where we were a year ago. When we look at our absorption rates, seeing the months of inventory grow, still less than 3 months of inventory on market, but up to 2.6 months of inventory here in San Bernardino County. And then last but not least, average days on market down to 33 days on market, and sold versus original list price down to 97% of original list price here in San Bernardino County. So definitely a lot more negotiation happening in San Bernardino County. All right. With that being said, some of the industry news and just announcements that I want to cover. One, I want to remind everyone, we are doing an exclusive build site tour today, right? Today, of a property here in the city of Downey. If you are going to be joining us, this is going to happen at 1 p.m. It is a property over on Barland. We sent the address out on the text message, and we blasted it out last week via email. So I just want to note this. This property is an active build site. So you're going to notice these are floor plans. The framing is done. They are starting on the roofing, but there are actual workers there. This is not a completed site, right? This is a build site. With that being said, if you would like to attend, you can meet here at the office at 1 p.m. or you can meet at the property at 1:15 p.m. is when we're going to be meeting at the property. It's really close by to the office. It's here in the city of Downey. Please, my friends, closed-toed shoes, right? Closed-toed shoes. I don't care if you have your sandals or your heels separate and then you switch out at the site so that you have closed-toed shoes. But again, active build site means that there's nails, there's things on the floor, there's dirt, right? And so it's very important that your feet are protected, right, with closed-toed shoes. They've cleaned up the site for us to be able to go out and visit. This is being shown to us this is one of the projects that Real Estate Mechanics is doing. That's Pavan's team, right? One of the projects that they're building out. And so you're getting an opportunity to see kind of a first look at this inventory before it's even completed. He's going to have more site tours with some of the other locations and projects that he has available. This is also an opportunity, right? We're in a low inventory market. So why not see some of the inventory that's being created, right? New build site, and have a chance to kind of see what that looks like. So hope to see you guys here today, 1 p.m. I do want to note as well, another announcement. I didn't get a chance to put the flyer up here, but tomorrow we do have our team meeting here at the office at 3 p.m. We have some important announcements, and I have a major top producer special guest that's going to be coming in. Keep an eye out. I'm hammering out last few details with her, but she's not only going to be coming out for our team meeting tomorrow. We have her slated to actually deliver a whole class that she's going to be doing at the Board of Realtors next month for you guys. Top producer, like you're talking somebody that's in the top 10% of Latina agents nationwide in the United States, right? Amazing agent, personal friend of mine, and somebody with a heart of gold. And so I'm looking forward to you guys hearing her story tomorrow about just how much that heart has gone through to get where she is today. And so I'm really stoked to share that with you. If you've ever been through anything difficult in your life, she makes you rethink how hard that actually is when you hear the things that she has been through in her life. And so I'm really excited to have her tomorrow, but our team meeting will be here at the office at 3 p.m. Okay, so, wait, one more announcement. Sorry, guys. And for those of you that have been in Ignite, I know you all have worked incredibly hard. We're really thankful to all of our top producers that took time out of their schedules to come teach some of the Ignite sessions on Wednesday evening. So this week is busy. On Wednesday evening, we will be having Ignite graduation, and so we're really excited for those of you that have kind of earned your stripes with Ignite course. It was one of the first classes within Keller Williams that I ever took, and I still, when I do talk with any buyers, I still use the Ignite buyer's consultation for all of my clients as well, right? So very powerful class and curriculum. I know they've rewritten it a couple times over the years, but we're really proud of all of you who have done your Ignite, and we're looking forward to your graduation on Wednesday evening. So we have some fun stuff planned. If you can make it in person for that day, you're going to want to make it in person. All right. With that being said, my friends, let's go ahead and jump right in. I wanted to talk about this. So this was shared on a great kind of, how do I put it, a really great tool that we like to share out every year, right? We are about the almost third week of July. July is about to end, right? And so what we know is that August 1st is one of the most beautiful times that you have to really start fresh and clean up your database, right? And so we call this the seasons of the database. And August 1st through October 31st is what we like to call fall cleanup, right? Fall cleanup is when you go through your database, or if you're new, you build your database, right? So you're either cleaning up your database if you have experience, or you're going through your database. What you look at is you want to make sure that everybody in your database, you have the must-haves: phone, email, address, and the nice-to-haves are your birthday and home anniversary, and for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, right? All the notes that you should have about the people that are in your world. Now, during August 1st through October 31st, you figure out where the holes are in your database and you fill them, right? You fill them. You have to make sure that you are cleaning up that database, that you have all of the information that you need, that you get all of the information that you need, and you make a list of everyone that should be in your database but isn't, right? Are there family members that you haven't added to your database yet? Are there old coworkers that you haven't added to your database yet? That time period, August 1st through October 31st, is when you clean your database, you put everybody in, you get everybody set up, right? And then November 1st through February 28th is the winter of renewal. This is where you renew all of your relationships, right? So obviously during fall cleanup, you're going to be renewing some of those relationships by virtue of reaching out to get their information. And yet, let's say that you weren't able to talk to everybody. Why might it be easier during the winter to talk to those people, right? What makes it an easier time to connect? Well, what happens in November and December and January and February? They're what we call very natural touch points. It's when you have the opportunity to reach out to somebody in November and say, you know what? I just wanted to reach out. I know it's been a while since we talked, right? You fall on your sword a little bit. And it's my fault that we haven't connected and we haven't had that relationship. And yet you're somebody that's important to me. And I was thinking about the people that I was grateful for coming into my life, right? November's Thanksgiving, right? Of all the people that I'm grateful for coming into my life, and you're one of them. And so I wanted to reconnect and just ask if there's anything that you might need. And thank you for trusting me as your realtor of choice, right? It becomes a lot easier to have those type of gratitude conversations in the winter than it is at any other point of the month because of the holiday season. And that's also the time when you can use those talking points to not only get back in conversation with everybody, but fill in the gaps you identified, if you didn't already, right? And no one thinks twice during that time of getting a gift or a card in the mail, right? Because you can follow up those calls with a thank you card, with a holiday card, whatever that may be. By reconnecting with people, you earn the right to do business with them, right? You earn the right to do business with them. And that's why we call March 1st through July 31st, spring or summer explosion. This is also the buying and selling season of the year in real estate. Now, I will note, this year, normal seasonality is a little bit changed. It may be like, oh, wait, is the normal buying and selling season ending? Well, hey, interest rates have been high. So we are going to see some adjustments to our normal seasonality as we continue to see fluctuations in interest rates. And yet this is your 3-season plan in order to make sure that you are cleaning up your database and getting yourself ready to have an absolutely phenomenal year, right? It's in making sure you are building the habits. With that being said, we also have another guest speaker that's going to be coming out in the second week of August to teach about data bank. He's a regional director that will be coming in to do this specifically for you guys. So as a good kind of jump start to the seasons of the data bank, keep an eye on that class that will be here in office as well. Also, I wanted to remind you all, I shared this last week. This is the State of the Nation's housing report that was released by Harvard, right? By Harvard. I wanted to just reshare this. I know I shared some of the stats from this last week, but there's a lot in here that is going to be incredibly powerful for you, right? We talk about this idea of being the real estate expert of choice. A lot of you were on Buffini's mid-market update that we did last week on Wednesday. That's a great resource and a tool that's available for you to know what is happening in real estate and what does that mean for our clients. Now, here's the thing. The news is very sensational. The news likes to share anything that is going to get eyeballs, which means they share a lot of things that can sound scary for your clients or put your clients into fear or even a state of FOMO, right? We get a little bit of that mix because sometimes some of the news articles that are out there even conflict against each other, right? That's their job. Their job is to get the most amount of eyeballs looking at those articles, looking at those shows, looking at the news. That's how they make money, right? Is by eyeballs. But the truth is, for us, our job is to educate our clients on what actually is going to impact them. And so this kind of tool, the State of the Nation's Housing at 2023, was a phenomenal market report. They've got a fact sheet that kind of goes through, some of the main things to look at. But they talk about even, household growth is continuing to expand. Brian Buffini talked a little bit about that, right? With the millennials being one of the biggest age groups that is aging into homeownership at a national scale, right? We know that that is one of the markets that is coming. And so we have to be ready to service those markets. We also know that the price of homeownership is pricing out potential buyers, but at the moment that we see the interest rates experience a decline, we're going to have so many buyers that come back on the market, not new buyers, right? These are going to be buyers that are coming back on the market. With that being said, I didn't include a slide for it, but I did want to talk about this as well, is the Dreamers for All California program, the 20% down program. So a lot of you remember the California Dreamers for All program. It's a 20% down shared equity program. Let me stop share this part of the screen real quick. A 20% down shared equity program. What does that mean, right? It's a grant program, not a grant program. It's a shared loan or a second loan program. With this particular California Dreamers for All, if your client qualifies for the program and gets an offer accepted with the program, when the program is available, the program will fund 20% of their home purchase that can be used towards down payment, closing costs, whatever. It's a 20% loan, right? They're still going to get a loan with their approved lender, and Downey Capital is approved for the Dreamers for All program. They are still going to get their regular loan for 80%. And so it allows people to come in with less funds. Now, how does that work, right? Let's say that the amount was, whatever that amount was. Let's say that, to put a number on it, that the 20% is $60,000, right? So now they've taken a loan for $60,000, which is 20% of this, whatever property this is. I'm using round numbers, right? When they sell, refinance, or perform any other act that brings the loan due, they will owe the $60,000 plus 20% of their equity, capped at a certain amount, right, of that amount back into the grant program. Now, when this came out, originally what was supposed to happen is they were supposed to come out with, I believe, about $500 million in the program. What ended up happening is they had to do some type of budget cut here in California, and so they only released 300 million into the fund. That amount was exhausted in 11 days. In 11 days. They just signed an order for the rest to be funded, the 200 million. With that being said, they're going to release an update in the fall. So it's not like this is going to happen right now. And in reality, that fund amount was exhausted in 11 days. How long is this fund amount going to last? Well, it's not going to last long. But you may have clients that are not able to purchase otherwise. Now, this is not, if your clients are ready to go now, we want to get them into homes now, right? But for those clients that maybe wouldn't be ready to do this otherwise, they want to start on getting the qualifications for it. There are home education qualifications that they must do to even qualify for this program when it comes out. One is going to be a great course that they should probably do anyways if they're going to be looking at any of the grant programs that are provided through the California Housing Financial Agency, CalHFA. Basically, with that particular class, it's a $99 class that is provided through a online educational platform called eHomes. They go in, they do this $99 class. The class itself is going to take a couple hours for them to complete. However, there is a second part of this. So I was like, hey, let's check this out. I went through it because I wanted to see what it looked like to be able to report back on how somebody gets certified with this. I'm going to know two things. The class itself is going to take them a couple hours. However, they will not get a course certification until they then have a one-on-one with a homeownership counselor, right? That appointment, from the moment I scheduled the appointment, the soonest appointment I could get was almost 2 months out. I asked them to put on a cancellation list if there was any cancellations to get an earlier appointment. They had me on the list. My appointment was 2 months out. It took 2 months to do the appointment. I share this because if you have clients that are interested in this program or any programs that require that course to be completed, that means they need to do the class already, right? They need to do that before they get to the point of wanting to go make offers. The second class, which is a class that goes over the actual California Dreamers for All program, that class is going to take them less than an hour. They're going to get the certification very fast. But this first class through eHomes, which is the one that is certified for the housing agency, that class is necessary not only for this program, but for a lot of the different grant programs or financial assistance programs through CalHFA. And so if they are looking at any programs through that, they need to take that course. And so I wanted to share that just because I know that, there was a lot of headlines about California Dreamers for All coming back. And well, yes, it is coming back. It's going to be a smaller fund amount, right? And that is not going to be released. There's going to be an update in the fall to see if there's been any changes to the program or the requirements there. But I wanted to give you an update on the classes as well, because again, great. Okay. They want to go use the program and then they didn't complete the course. It's going to take them a month, 2 months to get that course knocked out and actually get the certificate to qualify for the program. And the last time the funds got exhausted, even more funds that are going to be released this time around were exhausted in 11 days, right? So this is for clients that are ready to move forward when the program comes out, then they're ready to take advantage of it, right? It's not going to be for the clients that, just aren't ready or aren't making moves to get ready for it. So that's still a couple months out, but I wanted to share that update right now because that was a new update. With that being said, my friends, for those of you that are joining us for the site tour, I'll see you here in the office at 1. I'll see you tomorrow for our all partners meeting at 3. And with that, I hope you all have an absolutely phenomenal rest of your day. Bye, everyone.